Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Seric Show. My name is Spencer Van Winters, and I cried myself to sleep last night.
My name's Eric, and when I was a young boy, my father actually took me into the city to see a marching band. Isn't that cool?
Took you into the city to see a marching band. Was
Yeah.
the marching band good at least?
I mean, they're pretty good. The whole. I think it was kind of a dark day overall, but
A dark day.
yeah. Well. I mean, the parade was black, right? So
Was it cloudy?
Yeah.
That's
But overall, it was all right.
Okay, so on a scale from 1 to 10, what would you rate it?
A soft 4.
Soft 4. Awesome. Well, anyways, getting into the episode today, I think we're going to have to tackle the topic of defensemen. Don't you agree, my friend?
I do. I think those defensemen need to be tackled. They're just asking for it.
Gotta take that body. Okay. Anyways, we will be playing a game of seasons on EASHL here on 3-on-3. We will be doing, of course, be playing for our team, the Crustaceans, as we have been known to do in the past. So,
Yeah, you got to represent.
here we go. We don't look at the record of our club over the past little while. Our club has a history, a very dark history, in the sense that our games start off as going really smoothly. We're winning 1-0, 2-0, whatever it is, and then all of a sudden, it's like second period rolls around, and we get disconnected, so we automatically lose. And that's been the story of our lives when it comes to EASHL and the EA servers. So thank you very much EA.
And now, I don't want to point any fingers here for whose internet might be to blame.
Well, I mean, you are the one in the basement, Eric.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that just makes it sound really sad. But I'm like locked in a basement somewhere.
No.
I'm not. I got a little yard to walk around with every third day, and get water most days, so it's all right.
Most days, yeah.
but yes, no, it's definitely been my fault. I finally had to figure out my internet situation downstairs, so I was getting kicked from all the games from having a poor internet connection. So it's my fault, really.
I won't disagree that my internet had something to do with it, but as we kind of found out later on, as I didn't ready up there, my bad. Tag someone who doesn't ready up, right?
Yeah,
Sorry.
man, cool. Moving on. No, but I think what we found out in the case of bad internet, 2 wrongs definitely don't make it right.
No, 100%. My internet is not the best.
Oh,
Your
no.
internet is not the best.
This game is going to be white
Oh
jersey
my
versus white
goodness.
jersey.
Why does... See, this is another problem I have, okay? What is this madness?
Ooh,
Okay,
45
so-
game point streak for E-Money. That's
How
my
many?
guy's name. 45.
45. E-Money is on fire right now. So, talking about defensemen, though. So, who do you think the best left-handed defenseman in the league is? If you had to pick anyone.
If I had to pick anyone for left-handed defenseman,
Nice goal.
it would be... Oh, my God.
Oh, are they quitting already?
No, they might be quitting. The white jerseys in the early goal against might be enough.
Yeah, I think they... Oh, no, I don't think they did. But anyways.
My choice for best left-handed defenseman is also my choice for best defenseman in the NHL.
Okay.
Right now.
Who's that?
So both of that together is Victor Headman. I think he's...
Okay. Yeah, they quit.
Oh, yeah! So we got the
Nice,
win!
we got a win. Yeah, because we scored. Nice. And and they're probably like, oh my god, white on white, we can't see what's happening.
Yeah, look at that.
But Victor Headman, eh?
Yeah, Victor Headman. I mean, that's pretty efficient, that game. That's
Yeah,
pretty good.
that was quality. Okay. Oh well, thanks for tuning into the podcast.
Yeah, I think you did say like just one game. You said we're gonna play the seasons. So we technically fulfilled that obligation.
I guess so. Do you want to keep going or no?
I say we do. What
Okay,
about you at
okay,
home?
good.
Should we keep going?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. We're
Why
gonna
was
keep
I?
playing.
It was like the Dora thing. It's just like, okay.
That's exactly what I was going for, and I'm glad you
Okay.
understood.
Perfect.
Um,
Okay, next game here. But yeah, Victor Headman. He is speaking
Victor
of
Hedman.
efficiency. Yeah, Victor Headman. Yeah.
That's a very good way to describe his game. I think he's 6'6", but he's an amazing skater. So did we just get matched up
So
with the
smooth.
same team?
I think so. I think we just did. They just changed to black though,
Okay,
so it's good.
Cool. Yeah, he glides around the ice super easily. And I'll never forget one game. A March break a couple years ago, my parents and I went to Ottawa for March break. And we went to a couple Sens games because they were much cheaper than Leaf games, as they still are. This is actually the year that Ottawa went to the conference finals. So this was a decent Sens team as well. So it wasn't a bad time to be watching hockey there. But we saw Chicago versus Ottawa and Tampa Bay versus Ottawa. And I remember Victor Headman had the game went to overtime and he had like a minute-long shift. And 3-on-3, he was just going end to end, and he ended up coming back for a huge back check and then going down and scoring the winning goal. And just the way he can just cover so much space on the ice, it allows him to influence the play offensively, jumping up into the rush, but also closing on people defensively with the long
100%.
reach. He's got the physical game. He can score. He's got that talent. I just think he ticks all the boxes overall. He might not be the absolute best of each category, but I think overall, if I had to pick one defenseman who kind of jack of all trades would be Victor Hedman.
Did a nice job. But yeah, I totally agree. I mean, if you look at the body and like the setup of Victor Hedman, it's like it's stereotypical like what you want a defenseman to be. Big, tall, long reach, like agile, but like it still has those long strides and like fast, all these different things, can turn on a dime. Like Victor Hedman has it all. I mean, he's a stereotypical like perfect defenseman in any coach's eyes, I think. Mm-hmm. If he was right-handed, I think he'd be the most highly paid defenseman in the league.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Okay, it's all right.
And if I think as well, if he wasn't on Tampa Bay, because they kind of have their own cap structure as well. Of what they're gonna pay their top players, and they.
Yeah, like Tampa's players seem to like cue into the idea that you can't win if everyone gets paid $10 million. Right? So, I mean, if you look at a lot of their players are paid a lot. I'm not going to say they aren't. I'm just saying that a lot of their players could have taken a lot more money than they are currently. And I think that's a mold you have to have for any winning team. And Victor Hedman, how much is he making? Do you know?
I don't hear. Let me look it up.
He might be one of those players, though. Mm-hmm. Oh, nice. Nice shot.
Let me just see here. Victor Hedman, he makes just under $8 million per season.
Okay. Do you think that's good for Victor Hedman? A steal, bargain.
That's a bargain compared to some of the contracts that other players. We'll probably mention Erik Carlson later on, but I mean he's making $11.5 million for 8 years. So
no kidding, right? And he's not looking the best at all in terms of his skating ability right now. Anyways, his ankle does not seem to have gotten any better. Mm-hmm. Or if it has, like it's limiting him in some way where his turning is affected. He's not the same player, it seems. He's still putting up points, I believe, but he's just not what we expect an $11 million player to make. But we were talking about left-handed defensemen there, and we kind of got sidetracked into different topics, which we'll go into. Exactly.
Erik Carlson later.
Exactly, but
Spencer, what's one left-handed defenseman for you?
Left-handed defenseman, the best one. So hard, man. I don't know. I used to like Ryan McDonough a lot, but yeah, I'd have to say Headman as well, just because he really is what you want in a defenseman, and he as you said before, he puts up points. He's good on the power play. He's good on the penalty kill. He's versatile. He seems to like. Is he an assistant captain in
Yeah.
Tampa Bay? Yeah, so he seems to have leadership ability, which is what you want from a player that is making that much money, and a player that's that good and in those roles in your lineup, right? You want them to be all those different things and more. So, I think Victor Hedman's a perfect pick for a left-handed best defenseman in the league.
Yeah, yeah. I think, and if you at home, don't take our word for it, which I mean, first of all, how dare you? Um,
We're not taking ourselves seriously. How dare you take us
the
seriously?
NHL Players Association came out with their yearly poll, and a very large majority of them ended up voting Victor Hedman as their pick for top defenseman in the NHL.
When did he win the Norris? Or
He won
has
the
he won it yet?
Norris not last season, but the season before, I believe.
Okay. Interesting.
But yeah, I mean, 37.8% of NHLers voted him as their top defenseman. So
Awesome.
in my mind, it was kind of a slam dunk vote. I mean,
Yeah, no kidding. You can't really go wrong with that kind of player.
oh yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to talk
I was
about
like,
other left-handed defensemen, Spencer?
I mean, I really like as an upcoming, as I could see being one of the best defensemen in the future as a left-handed defenseman is Quinn Hughes. He's unbelievable, man. I love him. His offensive ability. Sorry, I went offside. His defensive ability, even at this level, at this age, is unbelievable. I don't know. I think there's a lot of upside. The only downside is it doesn't have the frame I was talking about with Headman, but that doesn't seem to like bother him at all, which is really interesting.
Yeah. I mean,
Do you know if he throws hits at all or no?
he's not a huge hitter for sure.
No. So yeah, I wouldn't expect him to be. He's like 5'7", 5'8".
Yeah. I think he's a little taller. I think he's probably
Okay.
5'11".
Okay. That's not bad then.
But yeah, I will say, even though even though he's not the biggest guy, doesn't throw hits. I don't think for him it impacts his defensive ability.
No, yeah.
Because
His edge work.
exactly, his edge work and his great skating ability allows him to recover and get back on the rush if he ever gets beaten, or help covering for a defensive partner. And obviously his great IQ and his great stick work means that he can break up plays with a poke check rather than having to take the body.
Yeah, exactly. Someone who I thought was gonna do a lot more this season, but didn't really, is Morgan Rielly. I mean, he got injured, right? But Morgan Rielly, this season before, had an amazing defensive production and offensive production. Like he improved so much in those seasons, and then all of a sudden it seemed like he took a back step last season.
He had an unreal season in 2018, 2019. I think part of the trouble was that it was an unsustainable season in terms of a lot of shooting percentages, and he was on the top power play unit, which he wasn't by I think November of this season. So not getting that opportunity with the elite offensive players definitely hurt his production.
Oh, 100%.
And just having that expectation, because I think he was I'm pretty sure he was top 5 for the Norris Trophy last season. I think he was just off of the top 3
I wouldn't be
nominees.
surprised. I would not be surprised.
I think he just missed out on a trip to Vegas as one of the top 3 nominees. So, with that comes a lot of expectation.
Why did my guy just lag out so hard?
Which is what a lot of the Leafs suffered with early in the season for sure. So he was no exception there.
And then he just got burned by Connor McDavid on that goal of the season.
Oh yeah, it was like it was one of those. That goal was one where I couldn't even be mad, even though the Leafs got scored against.
No,
I was just like,
I think I
wow,
clapped.
that was a world class play.
My guy's lagging a bit right now.
Yeah, no,
he's really lagging.
Quinn Hughes, I think is a, great call.
Yeah.
He's about our age. He was born in October.
Yeah, I know.
99,
Yeah,
so
he went to Michigan University.
a couple weeks older than me, so I feel really good about myself and my accomplishments.
Yeah. Hey man, like I remember there's a kid named Martin Ertegaard. He's like older now, but when he was younger, he was making 16 grand a week when he hadn't even played a game for Real Madrid yet. Like 16 euros per week. 16 grand euros.
Whoa,
like,
oh my god. What the heck?
Yeah, a week, man.
Dude, we're
and
doing
he's
it
like
wrong.
he was like 17 or 18 at the time. It
Yeah,
was like,
we're doing it
what
wrong.
what is happening? And why? How did the computer just score there?
This is a penalty shot, Murphy.
I know, but like he just skated into the goal.
He got that sneaky backhand on.
Oh my god, I'm an idiot. My bad. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
Spin.
He's going to be
Get
a special
open.
player for. Oh, nice.
Oh.
For Vancouver for a while.
Yeah, they've got a good core there in Vancouver right now,
Mm-hmm.
and they've got that. They've got what's his name? The Russian kid who's coming up soon.
Pod Colson?
Pod Colson, and then they have that Swedish kid that did the Michigan move.
Yeah, Niels
Hoglander, that's his name.
Yeah.
They have him coming up. Like they have a bunch of guys, and I'm really excited for Vancouver fans.
I will say, as much research as I've done into Pod Colson at this point, I know there were teams kind of shying away from him at the draft.
Yeah, because he had 2 years.
Yeah, that was
he had
part
2
of
years
it,
until
but,
he was eligible into the NHL. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well, just because he had an existing contract.
Yeah, exactly.
But I know the part of it as well was
my bad.
The fact that a lot of scouts weren't sure about his offensive ceiling, and that he seems to play a game more of second, third line energy winger rather than having the top elite offensive ability to produce points at a high level in the NHL.
Yeah.
But I think Hoglander, he was a second or third round pick, and he has the high skill set to kind of make up for that. Very skilled player. He was one of the most dangerous players at this year's World Juniors.
He's disgusting, his hands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He needs to work on his
100%.
discipline, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, he got suspended.
Well, he's
for
young,
their
right?
final game.
I mean, he was still in the World Juniors. I mean, he's got time to develop, right?
Exactly.
So I don't think people can be too hard on those kinds of players right now.
Yeah, but I think if anything, it shows that he's willing to play with a physical edge, even though if right now he crossed the line and had a headshot, which ended up actually costing his team a medal, unfortunately.
Who, Hoglander?
Yeah, because he wasn't able to play against the Russians.
That's not good. Yeah, discipline. But that's like what's his name, Lias Anderson for the Rangers, who threw his medal into the crowd.
That's an interesting case. I
think what's
he's got
happening
more
with
to
him?
give,
Because he refused to sign or something, didn't he?
No, he was playing for Hartford, but something went on. It's hard to comment because I'm pretty sure it's a personal situation.
Okay.
Something mentally wasn't
He seems
right.
like an emotional kid, though, don't you think?
Yeah, I think that.
Like
that,
he
that's
seems
good
just
at
a little bit
times.
over emotional.
Mm-hmm.
Cause like you don't throw your silver medal into the crowd unless you're like, do you know what I mean? Like who does that? I've never seen someone do that before.
Yeah, I think it got blown out of proportions, but I mean, obviously with.
Past that goal.
With it being
The
such
guy
a
should have passed
prestigious
it.
tournament, it was a bad look on him.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Getting back to defenseman
And
though.
he was the captain too, right?
Yes, he was that year.
Sorry. Okay, yeah. Not to go off topic.
Oh yeah,
but
getting back
going
to defenseman. One last left shot defenseman that I want to mention, particularly now. There's a couple that fit into later kind of categories of defensemen, but one that I think overall great at driving play and kind of does everything for his team would be Roman Yossi.
Yeah.
I'm willing to admit, I think you can kind of prove this to be true, Spencer, that a couple years ago I wasn't as sold on Yossi just because of how many great elite defensemen Nashville was churning out. Because it's hard to determine exactly who was, to kind of give the credit to for their great.
Yeah, there were so many different names you could have looked at and been like, oh, it could be because of this guy doing this and this guy doing this and this guy doing this, but really it was, I don't know. There's so many different things. I don't blame you for being skeptical, especially because like he hadn't really put up too impressive of a season, did he? Like he never really won any hardware. He never really did anything, did he?
No, but part of that was the fact that if he was playing with PK Subban back in the day, yeah, that was a tough look.
I know, I did the same thing, don't worry.
They would kind of like split votes for the Norris. Like some people would vote for Yossi over Subban. Some would vote Subban over Yossi.
Yeah.
And because of that,
Subban took a turn, man. We'll get into that later.
Yeah. But I think especially this year because of the fact that players like Subban moved on, and a lot of the Nashville Predators really struggled this year. The fact that Yossi continued to play so well really highlighted just how important he is to that team and just what a great player he is. I mean, he had finished the season. Yeah, he's the captain now. He finished the season second in defenseman scoring, and wasn't just all about offense. He was one of the league leaders in time on ice as well. He was playing a lot of minutes, a lot of tough minutes against top competition.
Yeah.
And yeah, he definitely deserves to get mentioned.
100%. Okay, let's go on to right-handed defensemen. So who do you think the best right-handed defenseman in the league is?
Ooh, okay. The best is a tough one for me.
That's right.
Because for me, it's not as clear-cut of an answer as there was with the left one. Because I think, for me, Headman was definitely above the rest. I might have to think on that. Do you have a one player that
I
you
had
could
an
definitely
answer.
say? Okay, well, let's
I think John Carlson is that player.
I think with the season he had, that's definitely fair.
I think John Carlson this season specifically, if we're talking about who do we think the best player right now is, I think that John Carlson definitely is the best player that's a right-handed defenseman in the league. He's big, strong, puts up points. How many points does he have this season? Had it up here somewhere.
He had 75.
John Carlson, 75 points in 69 games as a defenseman. 66 assists, 15 goals. Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. From a defenseman, you expect that from, like, an amazing playmaking winger or something like that. But,
yeah.
like Mitch Marner numbers, do you know what I mean? Like, and it's just unbelievable from a defenseman. I mean, he does get a lot of power play time, and a time on the ice is 24 minutes per night. I mean, you're gonna produce. I mean, Roman Yossi, to your point, is playing 25 minutes in 46 seconds. I'm pretty sure it's the most in the league.
I think Chabot's the only one above because Ottawa has
26
no one else.
minutes. 26 minutes for Chabot and 25.48 for Drew Doughty. So Drew Doughty's still racking up those minutes even on the worst team in the league, or one of the worst teams. Yeah. Oh, bad shot.
I mean, Carlson, obviously, great offensive talent. He's such a great, important part of that potent Washington power play.
Yeah, he replaces Ovi on that Ovi spot sometimes, right?
Yeah, or he can have his own one-timer from the top as well.
That's it, yeah.
The reason I hesitated and it wasn't a clear cut because I feel like I would probably still defer to him is because his defensive game just isn't as strong. With that being said, obviously with his offensive ability being so high, it would have been tough for his defensive game to kind of match up with that. But there are definitely some deficiencies there for sure, and I can see the argument just on that if let's say this situation was drafting a defenseman that you'd like to start a team with, I can see going somewhere else just because, if for a number one defenseman, maybe you want someone a little bit more stable. But I mean, if you want offense, he's been great at it and pretty consistent. I'd say. I mean, this year definitely upped the production, but he hasn't really had any off years as well.
You're right. I mean, the only other person I'd say is like a clear cut almost is Pietrangelo. Mm-hmm. I mean, I love that player.
Yeah, Pietrangelo was one I was definitely going to mention as well. I think he's just so consistent.
I got 50 goals in the club.
Nice, man. I'm proud of you.
There you go.
Though
that doesn't make sense.
Pietrangelo, he can do it all. He's that two-way defenseman. He can put up points. He can shut down the other team. Hard to play against. Got the long reach. Dependable. Got the playoff experience, obviously.
Yeah, anytime you can take the attention away from Ovechkin, like his shot, because you have a shot that's not equivalent but pretty close, that's just something that's next level. That's elite. Do you know what I mean? There's very good and then there's elite, and that's what John Carlson is.
Yeah. Although I was just mentioning Pietrangelo at that point.
Yeah.
I agree
but
Carlson's shot is
same
definitely
thing.
a weapon.
Same thing with Pietrangelo with his defensive
nice
ability though. Yeah, he also has a nice shot, but his defensive ability as well. Sorry. Yes.
Mm-hmm. He's probably his offensive is probably John Carlson light, I would say. But then he makes up for it with his a little bit more physical and just his defensive game's a little bit more dependable. So,
it's more sound.
Yeah, it depends on what you want, really.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with either.
Ooh, these guys have cool jerseys, actually.
I obviously I think we should under right-handed defensemen. They can probably go into other categories as well, but we should probably mention the two big guys on San Jose at this time, don't you think?
Yeah. I would go with that.
Okay.
I mean, there's Brent Burns and Erik Carlson, I'm assuming you're thinking of, unless you're thinking of Donskoy.
No. Well, Donskoy's a forward, and he's on Colorado.
Oh.
Now, so I'm definitely not thinking of Donskoy.
Well, that's a complete mistake for me. Who am I thinking of? That's whoa.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
That's pretty cool. But who was I thinking of? That's a right-handed defenseman on San Jose. That's not Brent Burns or Carlson. There's one more, isn't there? D'Angelo? Is that his name? No.
He's on the Rangers.
DeMello.
Yeah, he was traded for Carlson.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking. Oh, okay, never mind then.
And then he got traded to Winnipeg, and then did you see Paul Maurice's quote when he came to Winnipeg?
No.
Oh, dude. It was because Winnipeg was like struggling to find NHL caliber defensemen all year after losing Trouba, and Bufflin had their whole dispute.
Yeah, Bufflin. That's kind of weird.
He basically talked about how watching DeMello play. I'm not going to say exactly what he said, but it was like watching it was a coach's dream. Essentially, his first game in Winnipeg. It was a fun.
Like a W dream.
No, he took it further than that. But we'll just.
Oh, yeah. I don't know where he went then.
Yeah. Anyways, but yeah. So, I think honestly, and it's tough to kick them while they're down, but dude, San Jose's in trouble, man. They're in trouble.
I could not agree more.
They're in cap hell. They're going to be hitting it soon, and it's fine if you're contending for cups that you're worried. But
yeah, but they're just not putting up. They're not doing what they were supposed to. And Martin Jones is one of the worst goalies in the world.
And
not in the world, but
no, not
but in the world of the NHL, yes. Oh my God.
But yeah, like
we're just not getting lucky here. We kind of slowed down here, Eric. We got to pick it up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they finished off in third last, and they traded their first round pick. So
I know. So Ottawa
Yeah.
has it, and Ottawa has New York's, their own, and San Jose's, right?
Yeah.
Very nice.
So yeah, Ottawa's looking nice there,
Yeah.
but I mean,
And did you see
especially if
Detroit got guaranteed basically 50% on the draft lottery
no,
going to them?
what do you mean?
Because I forget. I was listening to the Steve Dangle podcast, and they were talking about how Detroit and like the draft lottery is different this year somehow,
Is it?
and how Detroit has basically been guaranteed a top 2 pick.
Wow, I
Yeah.
need to. I thought they hadn't decided anything about the draft.
That's
so-
what I've been hearing on the Steve Dangle podcast. I'm not too sure how accurate I'm being, but if that's what I'm hearing, then that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Considering, because they were talking about how like it seems completely unfair that like what's it called, all those years that 20% like all the other teams get at the first overall pick, and now automatically because there's a lucky quote unquote pandemic going on, Detroit gets 50% on their lottery chances. So
I mean, I can't weigh in. Maybe on a future episode we'll have, the facts behind that.
yeah.
But yes, no, San Jose's in trouble, and they're still good players, but the fact that Brent Burns and Eric Carlson seem to be kind of declining in value kind of hurts them even more, because they're I'd say at this point they're the two most important players on that team.
Are they though? Because they haven't been performing like it.
No, but they're the ones that they need to be playing at their best.
I know. I'm just saying, like, as in their performance lately, they don't seem to be the most important on that team.
Yeah, someone should let them know.
Yeah.
Burns is great offensively. Still, I mean, he had a bit of a down year and still put up almost 50 points. But he was a minus 22. And with someone who's he's on the ice at least 25 minutes per game. So
Yeah.
you need someone to be defensively sound if that's happening, if they're playing that much time.
100%.
And he was always high risk, and I think the fact that he struggled offensively.
Do you think
this
it's
year,
high reward though, right now? Because he used to be a forward, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He would switch back and forth. He played forward a bit in San Jose too. But it's high risk, high reward. But when the goals stop going in for him, you stop getting the rewards. So then it's just high risk with no reward.
Yeah.
And that's a dangerous spot to be in.
Yeah. Especially when you have two players exactly like that are making like a copious amount of your salary.
Yeah, and Carlson, a little bit different, but I mean, you still pay him to put up points and everything.
You pay him to literally put up points. That's literally what Eric Carlson was supposed to do when he came to San Jose.
Sure, and I mean, also minus 15, playing 24 and a half minutes a night, and that's just not good enough. Like, you're not going to be
especially as your top pair. Are those the top pairing defensemen?
Well, they don't play together, but
no, they don't play together.
It's arguably
they do on the power play though, don't they?
Sometimes.
Okay.
But I mean, you're not going to win. Like, your two top defensemen, even if they're not playing together, especially if they're not playing together, they're minus 15 and minus 22.
100%.
There's no way you're going to sniff a playoff spot. It sucks for Carlson because he seems like such a good dude, and he got out of Ottawa in the bad situation.
Yeah, and he had that horrible thing with his wife. Right?
Oh yeah.
Anyway, like they have a son now, I think.
I think
or a daughter.
So. But I know the whole issue was the fact that they lost the kid the first time.
Yeah. Yeah, to a miscarriage.
And unfortunately, Alex Pietrangelo also did. I remember reading a story on the Players Tribune that he wrote about it. They kept it private for a while, but I mean, that's
The Mike Hoffman thing happened too, right?
yeah. Well, that was
Around that time.
that was because that was comments about apparently the miscarriage. I think that was the
That's
issue.
so fucked up. Sorry,
Yeah.
excuse me. I'll bleep it, but
I mean, if anything, that's worth it. It's worth
yeah.
saying it.
No. But Eric and Melinda Carlson are the proud parents of a baby girl. So very cute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the biggest thing that's going to hurt him is his lack of mobility with his injuries, because that was his bread and butter, being able to glide around the ice, skate. He still has the vision, so he might be able to adapt a little bit, but not to the level of $11.5 million, Jesus, that he's making every year. You know?
Yeah, I know. I mean, the only thing is, like, if a guy posts on his Instagram, it hasn't been easy, but after the rain finally, our little rainbow has arrived, like, you can't, that makes you, like, it's like, oh, come on, pay him the money, you know? Like, I don't care.
Oh no,
but,
of course.
But at the same time, you have to be realistic.
Yeah, no. I feel like we should preface this, and we can say this with... Oh no, I messed up the contract. Okay. With the whole show, but it's great that players get to make that money. It's a lot better that players are making money than some ownership group, a bunch of rich old men. Like,
and it's better if they're nice people too.
Yeah, for sure. If we talk about a bad contractor overpaid, it just means in terms of the NHL salary cap world, and that's the reality. Is they have certain restrictions and stuff, but
100%, you have to oblige to them. That's just if you want to be in NHL.
Such as, I mean, Jack Johnson is overpaid, but his parents, he put his parents in charge of his money in his first years in the league, and they ended up causing him to have to declare bankruptcy.
I know, that's
the
so
fact
sad.
that he's making $3.5 million a year for Pittsburgh, it's a reason to celebrate. Is he worth that much money if you compare him to cap comparables in the salary cap world of the NHL? No, but it's hard not to root for that guy and say, yeah, you know what, I'm glad you're getting that money.
100%. And I'm pretty sure the team, was it the Blue Jackets? Or who was it?
He was on the Blue Jackets when that happened.
Yeah, then he got released or something. Or
well, he was going to free agency.
That's what it was. And he was bankrupt there. And then Pittsburgh signed him, right?
Yeah.
And then they gave him money. And then that's nice of them to do. But
I mean, they're gonna say
still crappy play.
They want it as well because he's a huge friend of Sid.
Because they went to the same high school or something, didn't they?
Yeah, they went to Shattuck St. Mary's together, which is a famous school in Minnesota. And there's a funny story that got told on Spit and Chicklets, that they were on the baseball team together, and some pitcher hit Crosby with a pitch, and then Jack Johnson charged the mound and just knocked out the pitcher. They're both kicked off baseball at that moment. But I mean, that kind of goes to show they were friends back in the day. So.
That's amazing.
But yeah, it
such a beauty.
I think if kind of to go with your you talking about Quinn Hughes for left-handed defenseman, the guy who kind of fits that mold for right shot defenseman is Cale Makar.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to...
A little bit more lanky, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's, I mean, they have a lot of comparisons because the rookie year together. And,
of course.
Just because of...
their play style, too, right? I mean...
Yeah, their play style.
Both very offensive.
Yeah, and they put up around the same amount of points. Makar did miss a couple games. So I think point per game, he might have been slightly ahead. In overall points, Hughes was ahead. But, I mean, I was lucky enough to draft him in fantasy hockey from the start, so I can kind of bring that in everyone else's face. I knew from the playoffs, everyone was raving about this guy. Picked him up. Just a solid 50 points in 57 games in a rookie season in the NHL. I mean, not a big deal.
Not bad.
Yeah, I guess not bad, right?
It's kind of ridiculous now you say it out loud, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, please don't tell me it's a penalty shot. Okay, good. Okay. Yeah, Cale Makar.
He's so dangerous walking the line. I mean, his mobility, his toe drags. He's got a great shot. He can really hit the top corner. And I think he reminds some people of a young Eric Carlson, and I don't think that's a bad comparison. But I think,
young Eric Carlson is unbelievable. So,
but as far as now, he hasn't been thrust in as many defensive situations, but he also hasn't shown the defensive deficiencies that Carlson did at that point in his career. So, Colorado's got a real good one there.
100%. Okay, let's move on to the best offensive defenseman. I guess we don't really need to do that. I mean, we kind of said like, we kind of did that when talking about the different types of players on each handedness, right? I mean, like the best defensive, best offensive, kind of the different ways of looking at them. So, I mean, best offensive defenseman out of the two, right-handed and left-handed. Who would you say it is?
Well, so I mean, offensive defenseman's easy to kind of just put
just looking at points,
yeah, and Carlson. But I think we can try to mention someone who's great offensively that maybe we haven't talked about yet, if you'd like.
Okay, who's that?
Like in my mind, it's Torrey Krug, and
okay, I definitely. He looks so much younger than he is. He's like 28.
Yeah.
I thought he was like 25 at least.
I
know. At most, sorry.
It was interesting because he came right out of Michigan State, I believe, into the playoffs for the Bruins, and he put up, I think, 3 big goals against the Rangers. Yeah.
He pulled a Makar. Or Makar pulled a Krug.
Oh, man.
What happened? Oh, God.
I was just trying to get to the net, and I took a ton of shots.
It's all right.
But yeah, he's been kind of underrated because he hasn't been on the top line for Boston because, I mean, there's Chara, usually playing with McAvoy. So, I mean, he's kind of doesn't have the same spotlight on him. But, I mean, as far as a power play quarterback goes, he's everything you want. He's got a great shot from the point, but also very sneaky puck movement, can skate it out of trouble. He's not the biggest guy, so his defense isn't great, but he's physical. He had that huge hit in the Stanley Cup Finals last year. Did you see that one?
I did not.
It was pretty sure it was Robert Thomas. And he knocked his helmet off with this huge hit. Open ice hit, just a beauty.
Unreal.
And yeah, he's a great offensive defenseman. It sucks him being that good with him playing usually Boston, terrorizing the Leafs. But what are you gonna do?
Exactly. What are you going to do? I mean, I like Torrey Krug a lot. I was going to say something. I forgot what I was going to say, actually. So, no, never mind. Who do you think the best defensive defenseman in the league is?
Oh, the best?
This goalie's standing on his head.
I can say it's tough. That's a really tough question, Spencer. Do you have an idea right off the top of my head? Because I would tend to.
I have one in my mind that could be pretty good shout.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if you'd feel the same way about this one.
I haven't they're top end defensemen that I look at as more defensive, and that's why I haven't mentioned them yet.
Yeah, I look at Mark Giordano, and I think he's one of the best defensive defensemen. He's kind of offensive, though.
That's interesting.
That's why I'm thinking, like, is he offensive? Is he defensive? I don't know.
In my mind,
which one are we going to classify him
he's
as?
sort of balanced, but I think he weighs more offensive. He can hold his own defensively, but I do think he's more of an offensive.
I always thought his defensive ability was unbelievable. Is that just me, or am I thinking of the wrong player?
He's got a good physical game, but I mean, he won the Norris Trophy last year on the back of his high point totals.
Yeah. What just happened with my guy there? Oh. Yeah, so...
in my mind, someone that he's been around a while and kind of... I think because of that, people kind of discount him for being old or something. But he's the model of absolute consistency. Is Ryan
Chara?
Suter.
Suter.
Yeah, Ryan
Okay.
Suter.
From Minnesota?
Char is also pretty, Minnesota Wild. Ryan Suter, he's just always around.
Okay.
He's so efficient. I mean, there were times.
I've never heard someone mention Ryan Suter when I'm talking about best defenseman. Actually, so it's interesting.
That's
because like he's such a like off pick. Do you know what I mean? Like you don't really think of him. That's really pretty cool.
That is it. I'm interested. It's interesting that you said that because he's like usually in the top 10 for the Norris. I would say.
Yeah.
Almost every year.
When I think of best defenseman, I don't think Ryan Suter. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, he's not a sexy pick for sure.
No, that's what I mean. Is like I'm not looking at him like okay, Ryan Suter, yeah, baby.
But he's got his very own distinctive style of play, which is very reserved. Knows when to jump up into the rush, knows when to hang back, and kind of make plays.
Smart player.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, he put up 48 points this past season, Spencer. You know that?
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh my God. 48?
48 points.
Wow. As a defenseman?
Yep.
Oh, of course he's a defenseman. But
yeah,
that's very impressive.
Yeah.
How old is he again?
He just turned 34, so obviously he's getting
34.
He's getting up.
Oh
there.
My goodness. Okay.
But,
old man Suter.
And once again, not a sexy pick compared to a lot of the younger guys with top defensemen, but he kind of gets the job done, very efficient, doesn't waste energy. But he's great at locking down, got the long stick, penalty kill specialist, for sure.
Nice pick. Oh my goodness.
And I'd say another one is actually a former defense partner of Suter, Shea Weber.
Okay.
He had an off year or so. I think the past ones, but he had a resurgence this season. Still so tough to play against.
I love Shea Weber.
You can talk about his contract.
Such a heavy shot too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, his shot! I mean, geez, it's famous or infamous if you're having to block it. But I mean, so tough to play against. Even now, I mean, he's matched up against Matthews or something, and it's it's hard to squeeze past him on the boards. He's still shut down.
He may not be the most mobile guy, but he's still mobile enough to like put his body in front of you, and once that happens, like you're not getting by him. Yeah,
exactly. Like he definitely thrives with with a defense partner that's more mobile and can skate. But I mean, he can still get the job done. He's still the same player. He's smart. He's dealt with injuries, but he's still around there. Tough player to play against. And if Team Canada had to make a team right now, I would not be surprised if he would make it. I wouldn't. Some people might. And it's easy to, if you're choosing between two players to kind of just go with the younger pick, especially with, for us, like if we're playing a franchise mode in NHL or a GM mode, you tend to take the younger player that can be even better. But a tournament right now. A tournament right now though, and especially
Game 7 right now.
Like
who you picking?
A coach's dream. I mean, a coach would love to have Weber out there in Game 7.
Oh, I would 100% agree.
But yeah,
okay.
Just to bring it back though, I mean, Ryan Suter is a former first-team NHL All-Star and a Norris Trophy runner-up with Minnesota.
Wow. Do you know when he was drafted?
He was. Let's see. He was drafted in 2003, 7th overall. Wow.
So he's a high pick.
Oh yeah, part of the Nashville Defense Factory.
Okay. Do you want to play Eliminator? Threes Eliminator?
Sure. Let's go.
Okay, I'm in that now. We'll play as a club. Why not? Okay. Who do you think the most overrated player is in the league?
Ooh. Overrated's tough because it's not like they're bad. And I feel like it's probably going to, like the last season's going to have it's going to hold a lot of weight here because obviously recency
Yes.
bias, and it goes with reputation that other people create, and kind of hype around them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's tough for me not to say PK Subban because of
Yes.
how well known he is even outside the NHL. And he really had a miserable season. Didn't have great playoffs last year in Nashville. Yeah, I mean he's definitely struggled as of late. Not that he can't turn it around, but he's struggled.
Yeah, I would totally agree with you. I I think PK, yeah, he's making so much money too, isn't he?
Yeah, he really is. He's making
And
he's making nine
he's not
million for 2 more
having.
years.
Do we know if he's having the same like cultural impact he had on Montreal?
Well, that's an interesting point to talk about because I don't know exactly if it was clear what impact he had.
Yeah.
There were rumors about what he might be doing. But, I think Nashville, he didn't have to be the guy, and he was kind of just there. I think Nashville trading him was a salary cap move, not a personality culture one.
Mhm.
And New Jersey is such a young team that I think it's hard to tell what impact he had because they also had a horrible year. So
Yeah.
he might have been. They were excited to have him. He like had this big dressy robe. I remember seeing him post that when he got traded to the Devils, this big red robe and everything. But it just on the ice did not work for him.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I think I was gonna agree with you and say PK Subban is the most overrated defenseman in the league.
I do have a runner up too. Sorry.
You do.
I do.
Okay, so I was just gonna say that I think the main factor on why PK Subban was so hyped up, like you said, was, well, not necessarily like you said, but just like the fact that he was such a cultural impact and like such a presence in the community in Montreal that
Mm-hmm.
kind of made him seem bigger and better than he was, because everyone wanted him to be better because he was such an impact in the community. They wanted to be like, oh, look at this amazing superstar that's like coming into our neighborhood and like doing all this stuff. And I feel like he was kind of hyped up like that as well. Do you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And he had this big personality. He has this big personality, and he likes to run his mouth, and he likes to be a personality on the ice. He likes to make big hits. He likes to celebrate really, like, emotionally, and you can see that when he plays. He plays with his whole heart in his sleeve, and I feel like that's why he was considered to be so much better than he actually is, because he was such a hit. Like Ilya Mikheyev is a good example of this. Like, as soon as he came here, everyone thought he was Jesus, right? I mean, everyone thought he was going to be the next like Pavel, like not Pavel Datsuk, but like the next like great Russian that we found. He was going to put up like all these points and be amazing, just because like he said a couple of nice things on camera. You know what I mean? Or all like, and just because he scored like a couple goals, he just became an icon. So if that's what can happen in a city like Toronto, you can only imagine the same thing would happen with PK Subban after scoring a big goal, or doing something in the community. It just blows up even more.
I mean, yes, I understand what you're saying. If you had told me before this started that you'd compare PK Subban to Ilya Mikheyev, I would be surprised. With that being said, you did make sense, but it's just
I
an
wasn't I
interesting
wasn't I
comparison.
wasn't yeah, I wasn't comparing him in the sense like of the longevity of everything, because obviously Ilya Mikheyev hasn't done what PK Subban has. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like I'm just saying, like, people love you because you're an awesome dude in the NHL, not necessarily because you're the best player sometimes, and people tend to make it like make it seem like you're the best player when you're not. Do you know what I mean? Just because you are such a nice dude. Do you know what I mean? If
Mm.
that makes any sense, you kind of hype the
Sure.
person up because they're so nice and so awesome, like you just want them to be the best. I don't know if that makes any sense.
I don't know. I think if anything, it goes to show just like the pressure and the media power that a lot of the big markets can have, and you definitely experience that in Montreal.
Yeah.
Okay. I would say that I think PK really, a good way to describe it was that he adapts to his situation. Because in Montreal,
He didn't really adapt though in Nashville.
Okay, well, let me get to that, Spencer.
Okay.
In Montreal, when they were good teams and going to the playoffs, he was an excellent playoff performer, clutch time, had some great playoff runs. And when they then started to struggle with Price injuries and everything, he wasn't very good, and that ended up leading to his eventual trade out of there. With defensive mistakes and just lapses in judgment. And I think when he got to Nashville, he was not as noticeable for either defensive lapses or crazy rushes on the play. He kind of played with Nashville style of play, which is kind of, there's no one star player, but, balanced team play. They never have anyone near the top of the league in scoring. But they kind of just team effort, and I think he kind of fit in with that, playing with Matthias Ekholm for most of the time. He was who he was, but he also played kind of to the team game. And then in New Jersey, on a team struggling for a defensive identity or any consistency, he embodied that with his last season. He absolutely embodied that. He struggled as they struggled. He's almost like a pulse for the team itself.
Yeah.
That's my PK Subban theory. Thank you very much.
Yeah, PK Subban just needs to figure some things out. I think also like the big change for him in Nashville, it was like he was going from Montreal, where he was like the star defenseman, to being one of the other good defensemen on Nashville.
But I mean,
you know what I mean?
I wouldn't even say it didn't work out super well in Nashville.
It's not that it didn't work out. It's just that he wasn't, like, I just feel like he was, I feel like he was better when he was, like, relied on by his team.
I think he was
like
more
to
notable.
be the guy. Okay.
But I think he'd probably say that his best play was like as Nashville went to the Cup Finals, right?
Okay, yeah, I guess. Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, I mean, he's loving life. I mean, he's got so many sponsorship deals outside of hockey interests. Congrats to him.
Does all those things
married.
For the NHL, like the NHL YouTube channel. He always does
married to Lindsey Vonn, one of the best American skiers of all time. So kudos. Did you? I watched a video of him describing how he got to like meeting Lindsey Vonn or something. It was kind of funny. Did you hear about it?
No, what was it?
He I think he was at the NHL Awards. No, it was the ESPYs. Right, that's why Lindsey Vonn was there. And he was just doing some red carpet interview, and he just off the cuff said, "Do you see how good Lindsey Vonn looks over there?" or something. And then apparently she heard about it, and they kind of connected through that. So it was just like an off the cuff moment of him saying that she looked nice, and then boom.
And then she was like into it.
Yeah.
That's
so
really
I mean,
funny.
good for him. And I think that's evidence. Sometimes you just got to shoot your shot, you know.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I one more player that I would say is overrated, and I say this because he was tied with Brent Burns for fourth best defenseman as voted on by the players, and I think at this point it's only reputation that's doing that and not his play on the ice. And that's a Drew Doughty.
Yes.
And he seems like
I was wondering where you're going with that.
Seems like a great dude off the ice, funny, just great interview, speaks his mind. He talked about this poll and saying it pissed him off that like he took note that he was slipping because he used to be higher. But man, he has not played very well on a bad Kings team. He plays a lot of minutes, but he's he's not doing that much. And I mean, he's making $11 million for 7 more years. Once again, good for him as a person, but it's a salary cap league, so you gotta kind of earn your keep. And if he's making that's over 10% of the team's salary, then you gotta play as one of the best players.
You gotta
in the league.
play like you're that. Yeah,
exactly. That's got to be top 5 contracts in the league. So if you're paid that much, you got to produce, and he's kind of struggled the past couple of years.
And I don't think that's misunderstandable. Like I don't think that's like a bad thing to say. Like if you're not performing, you're not performing. You don't deserve what you're making, right? It's not a bad thing.
Sure.
It's like in any job. If you're killing people as a surgeon, you shouldn't be a surgeon. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, I'm not gonna say.
I know it's a bad
the equivalent
kind
of murder.
I know. Okay, but you're
no,
taking
I
it too
understand.
literally here.
It is a business.
It ain't that deep.
We love it because it doesn't seem like a business, but it is a business.
Yeah. Yes.
And you gotta earn your money. At the time that he signed it, maybe he was worth that much. And both sides agreed to the contract. It's not like he's strong.
Things change, right?
Exactly, and that's why I'm not as afraid of the Leafs handing out these big money contracts to young players, because it's a lot better to pay the young guys who still will at least hopefully stay the same level of talent,
get better.
Exactly, or get better, or pay the older guys that are kind of struggling, or Father Time's undefeated, and it comes around every time, as much as we hate to admit it.
I mean, there are some players that would disagree with you, as in Chara, who doesn't seem to want to ever give up.
Okay, well, he's a mutant, and he's even mutants are slowing down. Okay, I mean he's. I think, and I mean this is a lot, but I don't think he's got more than 3 years left. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he would have retired if they won the cup.
I think so too.
I think that's a very
good shout.
Of the same point, and I'm sure it tears him up inside that they can't be playing this year.
Yeah, because I think he really would have. I mean, in the interviews and stuff, he looks lighthearted and looks of good spirits, but like you can tell.
Oh yeah,
there's
that competitive
Off.
spirit.
Yeah, of course. So I mean, you're that old and you're still playing. There has to be that competitive spirit, otherwise it doesn't work.
Yeah. Like that's the inner drive.
You have to really love hockey, and you have to it really tests you at that age. I would think. I'm not that old, obviously, but like if I was like 40 or something, how old is Char? Like 40 something years old.
42, I believe now.
Yeah, if he's like 40 something years old, I'd be wanting to slow down after a long hockey career. He doesn't need to do this, right? I mean, he's had a long, successful career.
He's just doing this because he wants to. Alive, right?
So. Exactly. So he just wants to do this, which is I give him credit. That's amazing.
And. I mean, I think bring that back to Doughty though. The competitive edge is I think what's been holding him back a little bit too. Not being on a top team, not having that playoff moment. I mean, he was clutch for Canada at the Olympics, clutch for LA in the playoffs during their playoff runs, and I think he kind of thrives on that. You can see.
You look at Quick too. Yeah, same thing.
And I think his best games now are when he. Oh. That's a weak goal to let in.
That's a bad goal.
His best games now...
We've been bad today.
Oh, that was a weak goal to let in, though. His best games now are when he's playing Calgary with his big rivalry with Matthew Tkachuk, because eyes are on it. And, he's got that pressure, that drive that you just don't get from a normal regular season game on a bad team.
Exactly. It's competitive, and he loves that. Yeah. He needs that to do well, exactly. He needs it to push him.
It's just unfortunate
that he doesn't need someone to push him. He needs the drive, the adrenaline to push him.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate that LA is probably a couple years from competing in a playoff spot.
I know. Well, they have Arthur Kaliev. They have a bunch of guys. Abramov.
They don't have Abramov. What are you talking about?
No, they don't have Abramov. Leafs have Abramov.
Leafs have one of the Abramovs, and the other one's on
Yeah,
Ottawa.
yes, you're right. Because, okay.
We have
Anyways,
McHale,
they
they
have
have Vitale.
Grunstrom, they have Jersey, they have Velarde,
Yeah,
they have Cal Clegg, is he there?
yeah.
I don't know if he's that good. But who else do they have? That one guy they just got him, Turcotte. No, not Turcotte.
Yeah, no, they have
Turcotte. Yeah, they got Turcotte. He's pretty good.
They got
They have a
Bjorn
bunch
Foot
of
as
young
well.
player. Yeah, Bjorn Foot. He's good.
But yeah, they have a lot of pieces, but they're still lacking the top end guys. I think this draft will really go a long way if they can get one of the top players in this draft.
Oh, I 100% agree. This is a deep draft too in terms of skill. So, if they get a good pick here, they could be set for a couple of years.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That's exciting as a Kings fan, at least.
Yeah, as a Kings fan, it's a good thing. They've
You
had
gotta
tough-
look to you gotta look to the positives, right? I mean, you can't. There's not a lot of positives, but
huge money puck goal.
nah, it was a big money puck goal. Oh, nice 3.
Yeah, I mean, it's been tough for Kings fans losing a fan favorite like Kyle Clifford this past season and seeing some of their favorite guys.
Muzzin.
Yeah, Muzzin, the heart and soul guys have kind of left.
100%. Jeff Carter. Is he still there?
Yeah,
No, he's still there. That's who am I thinking of?
No, Martinez.
Did they have Williams?
They
At one
did.
point, I swear they had him.
They did for the cup runs, but I mean, he was on Washington more recently.
Yeah, you're right.
Too, and then Carolina.
Yeah. No. I know he was on other teams before that, but other than them, just the Kings. But
no, but after the Kings, he was on Washington after the Kings.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. I'm assuming,
tired, man.
No, that's all right. I'm assuming that after overrated is underrated, right?
Yes. It is overrated. Or sorry, underrated now.
Oh no.
You're losing me, man.
Is there anyone that springs to mind for underrated, Spencer?
Underrated defenseman?
Yeah.
I can't really think of any right now.
Okay, great.
Roman Yossi, I guess you would say that, wouldn't you?
I would, but I mean, he's at least highly rated enough for us to. I think he would have been
Andy
a
Green?
top 3 Norris.
Andy Green, underrated?
I mean, maybe. I think he's. I don't know how you rate him or how you think he's rated, but he's probably.
Yeah.
He probably.
I guess
should
it's all
be,
personal.
He probably should be a third pair defenseman at this point in his career.
Oh goodness. Okay, I thought he was better than that. Because I thought he got traded. He was having a good season, but then I realized he's with the Devils.
Well, he got traded to the guy that had him for like 10 years.
Yeah, Lou. Big Lou.
Lou, who doesn't look at analytics, and Andy Green's analytics.
I start your career, I end it.
Exactly. I brought you into this world. I can take
I'll kick you out.
One guy for sure, Shea Theodore.
Theodore, yes.
His advanced analytics, his advanced stats, his possession numbers, his shot attempts, his ability to drive play this year. For Dom, the guy on The Athletic, who does a lot of he has like statistical models and projections and stuff. Shea Theodore is a top defenseman in the NHL, top 10 from this past season. And because of that, he even put him on his mock Team Canada roster, Shea Theodore.
Huh, really?
Yeah, which has got to be disheartening for Anaheim Ducks fans who they have to give him up to protect people in the expansion
he's
draft.
with Vegas, right?
Vegas, he had 46 points this past season. And that's with very low shooting percentage on ice for the whole team when he was out there. I mean, he was driving play super well. Very mobile defenseman, great power play quarterback. And I think he's going to be a guy who, he's 24 now, had that great season. I think he's going to take even another step next year and really propel himself to the top. Yeah,
I totally agree. I like Shea Theodore a lot. He's good defenseman, good offensive defenseman too. Puts up points. Big, tall guy. Like I said, long reach. amazing defenseman. Yeah, Anaheim has a history of getting those young defensemen like in the past, and he is just one of the crop in there. But would you say this is an unfair statement to say that I know being a Leaf fan, we don't necessarily consider him to be underrated, but Jake Muzzin, like we were talking about earlier, like he was a big part of the Leafs defensive core and one of our best players this season, I'd say at least, in terms of being able to hold back on the back end, or more consistent defenseman. And I feel like he's underrated in terms of like other teams not really knowing how important he is to our team, and like to the Leafs. Would you think that's a good shout or no?
I think he's a good player for sure. I don't know if he's underrated since he was
on the Kings for so long and had all that success and is well known.
I think really the fact that he was on Team Canada for the World Cup of Hockey, I think that really brought it to the forefront.
Fair enough.
And
that
I think at this point in his career, he's the stable veteran presence. I think at least a lot of people around the league kind of recognize that. He's definitely a very important part of the Leafs. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he was. Yeah. You're right. He was the most important player at stretches. Their best player at parts this season. Just very consistent presence. But at least at this point, his impact is going to be always a little limited just because of his footwork. He's not as fast.
Yeah.
But his physical ability and his great defensive play, as well as being able to chip in offensively. He's going to be a top 4 defenseman for at least a couple more years, which is great for Leafs fans.
We signed him for 3 years, didn't we?
I think it was 4.
4? Okay.
I think 4.
I'd prefer that.
Yeah, that's
I like
nice
Muzzin.
For sure. I think one guy who I think this season was just starting to get the recognition that he really deserved was Dougie Hamilton, who unfortunately suffered a large injury. I mean, he would have been. I think he's on pace to probably be second in scoring this season. He had 40 points.
Yeah, I saw him creeping up there on the points total there.
He had 40 points in 47 games before he got hurt.
Unbelievable.
And I was a proud fantasy owner. Some guys doubted my draft choice of him and said, "Why do you even have him? You should drop him for a free agent." And the big number is 14 goals.
In 100%, especially
games,
a defenseman.
Which was tied for. There were only there's only one player that had more than 16 goals, and that was actually Zach Werenski, who's another great offensive talent. As a defenseman, had 20 goals in 63 games this season, which is unreal.
Yeah, no kidding.
But after Werenski's 20 goals, Pietrangelo and Yossi both have 16, and that was over the course of the full 70 games. So the fact that Hamilton hit 14 goals in 47 games is pretty unreal.
It's Dougie Hamilton, he was always one of those players that you wanted him to be amazing, but like he never really was like doing what you wanted him to do necessarily, but like he seemed to have like stepped out of his bubble this season and really like started producing the points, as you said, and being a good defenseman like we always wanted him to be. He's always been a good defenseman, but never really a great defenseman, I'd say. Mm-hmm. And I think he was starting to show why he was drafted so high. Wasn't he was a first-round draft pick by Boston? Wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
And then,
as Leaf fans love to know, he was a draft pick that Toronto originally had and traded for Phil Kessel, along with the draft pick for Tyler Seguin. So that's lovely.
Yeah, with
Don't you love remembering things like that?
No, not Phil Kessel. Sorry. Yeah. Did Tuukka Rask go in that deal? No, it was Raycroft for Rask, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's another smart deal.
We gotta stop trading with Boston.
I agree. They just fleece us every time. When was the last time the Leafs legitimately won a trade?
Bringing Jack Campbell and Kyle Clifford to the Leafs. I mean,
Very
come on,
good.
Jack Campbell's
No,
such a nice guy.
no. I was just asking. I wasn't
No,
like
that's-
saying like, oh, it's never happened. It did sound like that though. You're right.
But like, as far as a fleecing, we can talk about that on another one. That's an interesting topic.
Yeah.
But Jacob Slavin, who's Hamilton's usual partner, is also very underrated. He's a great defensive defenseman.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Who'd you say your favorite defenseman is? Did I ask you this already or no?
No. But really quick, I also just want to highlight
Sure.
Adam Fox.
Okay, Adam Fox of the New York Rangers.
Yeah, Adam Fox, 21 years old. He kind of, especially was under the radar and underrated.
Went from college, right?
Yep. He was Harvard. He was playing for Harvard, and
Harvard.
definitely underrated because of Quinn Hughes and Cale Makar, who are amazing rookie defensemen as well this season. So he kind of flew under the radar as far as another rookie defenseman this season. But I mean, he put up 42 points in 70.
42.
Yep, 42.
Wow, as a rookie?
Yeah, as a rookie defenseman.
Wow.
And he's a very smart player. Knows where everyone is on the ice and kind of just makes the right play a lot of the time.
I remember hearing about him. He was a draft pick by Calgary or something, wasn't he?
Yes, and then he was traded
and then
in the Dougie Hamilton trade to
And then
Carolina.
He didn't sign, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he didn't want to sign with Carolina, so he went to New York.
Which a couple people
such
have
a weird
in
story.
That's a sort of common college one, at least for the Rangers specifically, because Kevin Hayes did that. He was a Chicago pick.
VC?
And Jimmy Vesey as well, you're right. I forget where Vesey was originally drafted. It might have been like Nashville. But then
I think it was Nashville.
But then
I think
Buffalo.
it was Nashville. Then he didn't want to sign, and then Buffalo. He went to Buffalo.
No, the funny thing though is he was in Nashville, and then Buffalo traded for his rights to sign him, and he didn't want to sign in Buffalo.
Signed with Buffalo.
Buffalo just gave up the draft pick for nothing.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah, no, he didn't sign with Buffalo. Oh my gosh.
The cherry on top afterwards is the fact that
funny.
he got traded to Buffalo while he was under contract, so then he couldn't refuse it.
So he couldn't refuse it.
So this past season, he was playing for Buffalo, and then, I mean...
Yeah, he got I remember I have one of his Hut cards. That's hilarious.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's just that whole story.
Oh, that's so funny.
I can't imagine how he's a fan favorite in Buffalo now.
No, I would not imagine that at all. What's it called? Who'd you say your favorite defenseman is? Oh no.
Very tough question. Can I give you two?
Yes.
Okay, one we've already mentioned, and one we haven't mentioned yet, and I think deserves a mention for sure. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that they're the best defensemen, but in terms of players to watch, I'm biased because, once again, I had him in fantasy, loved it. Cale Makar. His elite offensive ability, and he just like able to make plays happen that no one else can.
Nice, cool.
Walking on the line, he's dangerous. He can snipe the puck. And someone we haven't mentioned is Miro Heiskanen.
That's what I was gonna say.
Games, man, he's I think still underrated because he had a big goal drought this year at one point. And the offensive numbers kind of haven't gone up to the same degree as some of the other young players. So it's easy for him to kind of get lost in the shuffle because of that. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, all of Dallas really struggled to score. I think they had one 20-goal scorer this season. And it was a guy that started their year on the AHL roster, which is Dennis Gurianov.
Yeah, Gurianov, I was to say.
And... but Heiskanen's skating ability is unreal. He just glides around the ice effortlessly.
Fast.
Yeah, and his defensive game is amazing. I think he's still only 20 years old. And it's just a very mature game. He plays a lot of penalty kill time. for a player that young, which is rare, and he's just very consistent. Always seems to make the right play. Doesn't seem like a young player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very nice.
Now, Spencer, I have a question
Yes.
for you, and I don't think you're going to expect it.
Okay. I was going to
Who?
ask you an off-the-board one, too.
Who is your favorite defenseman?
That's not... mine was actually off the board. But who's my favorite defenseman?
Yes, sir.
I'd say Oscar Klefbom.
Ooh, interesting. Please
I like
explain.
Oscar Klefbom. I've always liked Oscar Klefbom. I love his offensive ability. He's gone better defensively lately, or more recently, which is nice. But I just always thought he was always underrated. I love Oscar Klefbom. I don't know what else there is to say. When I watch him, I like the way he plays.
Man, that's interesting because I'm not sure if he's a top pairing defenseman, and
No.
Edmonton might not.
No,
be
I just like him.
and that's
I
totally
just like him.
some
Yeah.
players you just like.
It may be a dated view, but the last defenseman I really remember liking a lot was Oscar Klefbom.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
I mean, I'm the same. Like I was always rooting for. I mean, this is a little bit different as far as skill level goes, but I was always rooting for Justin Hall, and I mean,
Yeah,
he just seems like a
100%.
great guy and someone you
Yeah.
root for.
Yeah,
So
and
I understand
I just-
sometimes it's just player you like.
Exactly. I love Teuvo Teravainen, just because he seems like a beauty.
Seems like a beauty man.
But no, I was actually gonna ask you a question I don't have written down, and I didn't actually prep with you before, and that's who's your best prospect? Who's your favorite defensive prospect? Who's not yet in the NHL?
Okay, how are we defining? So just someone who has not played an NHL game yet.
Yes.
Dang. Okay. That's tough because my first immediate pick would be Bowen Byram because he was the top defenseman drafted last year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, first of all, Colorado is going to be scary good in the future. We probably always say that, but geez, man.
Yeah,
Wow.
no, they are set, especially on their blue line.
Their defensive core of Byram, the way it lines up is Byram playing with Makar.
Yeah.
And then
My God.
Sam Girard, who's also very underrated. He's undersized, but he's good physically.
I love
and
Sam Girard.
He's got just a bullet of a shot from the point, which you don't expect from that smaller player.
He's a lefty, right?
Yeah, he is. Kind of like Torrey Krug.
Yeah.
And then Connor Timmins, who starred for Team Canada at the World Juniors a couple seasons ago.
Yeah.
And then struggled with concussion issues for a season, but he got back on track this year. So he's a right shot. So
Good.
they got
That's good.
the kind of the two left, two right shots. And
That's awesome, man.
man, yeah, they'd be scary. But Byram kind of just does it all. Once again, he seems he reminds me a little bit of Haskin and kind of that left shot that can do it all. Kind of physical, good skater. Just overall, just brings everything to the table.
Good defenseman. I was gonna make a joke and say my favorite player is Mikko Lehtinen, who's no, I'm joking, but
Who is that, Spencer?
Yeah, we'll get into that later, but I will actually say as my answer Jamie Drysdale.
Yeah, that's one I was also thinking of. It's hard to compare.
I might be a bit biased due to the fact I went to high school with his brother, but and him actually. I saw him in the hallways all the time.
I mean, that's cool, but I went to a summer camp with his older brother for 2 weeks, so I think I know him better.
Damn.
I would play hockey against him. Okay, I mean that's something.
Okay, at least there's that.
he was on the Knights. We had rivalries.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, he is.
He's good too. His
Yeah.
brother,
Mhm.
Charlie. Yeah. Anyways, going into what I was talking about before. Wow, nice job. But Mikko Lehtinen, what do you think about this guy coming into the Toronto Maple Leafs system now that he's signed from that clown team? Now, I'm not calling them like the team clown, a bunch of clowns. I'm just saying that their logo is actually a clown winking.
Okay, dude, like their team name is so much better than the way you set them up, dude. Their name is Jokereek. Because they're like jokers.
The Jokers. Never
Um,
mind. I am mistaken for messing up their fantastic name.
And also, Spencer, would you like to tee up the segment?
In terms of what it's called?
Yeah.
I forget what it's called.
All right, so I'll take over from here. Thank you very much. I am your host with the most. And this little segment, once again, being Toronto-based, we like to talk about the Leafs. We're good friends, so we call this Buds on Buds. We're two buds talking about the buds.
I forgot about it.
So this is gonna be kind of,
I forgot what you talked about that. Yeah.
This is going to be kind of Leaf-centric conversation now. So
Buds on Buds.
If, you missed this, I mean, there's not a lot of news going around these days, but, maybe you shut off your phone for a little bit, which I do sometimes. It's nice. The Leafs, over the past couple of days, signed the top KHL defenseman, Mikko Lehtinen. He's Finnish. He's 26 years old right now. He'll be 27, I think, in January, to a one-year contract, similar to a lot of European free agent signings that they've done in the past. And he, in my mind, he projects to play in the NHL. I
mean, he's 26. You'd hope he would.
Yeah, like this isn't, a situation like when they signed Calle Rosen and Borgman a couple years ago, where like they thought maybe they could play in the NHL, and if not, then they'll just go to the AHL. He's not going to play in the AHL. He's probably going to go back to play in Finland if he doesn't make the Leafs. Yeah. So, yeah, he projects to play. I haven't seen any of his games. I've seen a couple highlights, but it's hard for me to really weigh in on his game without seeing that much. But
and he has to make the transition to NHL ice as well.
But
that's going to be a little bit difficult.
He was highly touted, and experts project that he would be in the top 5 of Leafs defensemen for next season.
He wasn't even supposed to go to the Leafs.
No,
initially.
The big rumored team I know is Montreal was one of them, which is makes this just a little bit more sweeter for Leafs fans, I would say. Especially after we took Austin Matthews from them, their franchise center.
by one lottery ball.
And then John Tavares, which they thought they were going to get, and then did not get an interview with, which was amazing.
Which is even better.
Yeah, but so he projects to be a part of their.
What a save!
Their top defenseman right now. The Leaf steps chart, without going hand in this into play.
That's a -3 too.
Yeah, is Morgan Rielly, Jake Muzzin, Travis Dermott, Justin Hall, and Mikko Lehtinen. So he would probably be 5th. At this point, he seems to be more NHL ready than Rasmus Sandin or Timothy Liljegren, which is good because you don't want to rush them if they're not completely ready.
Yeah. He is left-handed, though.
Yes, but this is an interesting fact. Is the season before last, he played it completely on the right side, and he's comfortable playing on the right side as well. So that's really helpful.
He said that in an interview. He was like, I do not see a problem. He didn't talk like that, but...
Yeah, that's... Yeah.
It was more Russian than Finnish.
It was. I don't know why. Like, he's very Finnish. He's very much Finnish. It's just that it's a Finnish-based
I was rushing to do the accent. Haha.
It's in a Russian league.
I know. I was rushing to get the accent out. Get it?
Spencer, I think we're finished here.
I know. I think after this game, I might have to, or I might pass out. A nice goal.
But yes, yeah, he should be a contributor for the Leafs. Just gives another option. He's a good player. If people are upset that he shoots left, I mean, he can play the right side, and also it's just good having good players. And I think it's important.
Yeah. I'd rather have the best players you can put on the ice than worry about their handedness.
Yeah, and if anything, I mean, they didn't have to spend anything to get him. It's like picking up a free asset. If they need to trade
no,
something
exactly.
else.
If they need to send him down, it's not anything against the cap. It's fine. If they need to do anything, he could just go back to Russia. So.
Mm-hmm.
It's so
I think
annoying.
it's interesting though that Travis Dermott's still without a contract, and
Yeah, he can play on the right side too. How much do you think he'll make?
he could, but that's the debate because he had a very up and down year. He started being injured.
Nice shot.
He started being injured, and then he kind of struggled, and then all of a sudden, he and Justin Hall, who used to be a healthy scratch for most of the time, was thrust into top line duty. And he performed all right at that point, kind of the higher expectations, rather than playing only like 12 or 14 minutes a night. I think he's probably going to sign for a 1-year deal. As kind of a prove it contract because it's hard.
Yeah, I can see that.
Oh, dude, it says tournament champions crustaceans.
Yeah, I know it says it's us.
It's hard to give a long-term contract that both sides can agree to when the player's value hasn't been like accurately determined over a long period of time.
Yeah, it keeps fluctuating, doesn't it? Like you could either go for a 2nd-round pick or a 6th-round pick at this point.
Yeah, so I think he might go for two and a bit million for 1 year.
Okay,
that's my guess. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd say $2 million is a good number. I wouldn't mind having Travis Dermott on. I mean, that's Justin Hall's salary cap, so that's around the same kind of skill level, I'd say, right now. I think Dermott has a bigger ceiling, obviously, than Hall, but I think that it's, for right now, a 1-year, $2 million contract. If they can fit it under the salary cap, and if they can do it, then I would not be opposed to it. But obviously, I don't feel the strongest confidence in Travis Dermott right now. But I would give him a tester contract, yes.
Yeah, the bridge deal to kind of prove it.
Exactly. So, yeah. Well, I think that's a good place to stop it anyways after the episode, to finish off the episode.
I mean, it's a little disappointing that we didn't bring home the victory.
It is disappointing, but we didn't have the best day overall in terms of gameplay, but we had some good conversations, I feel, about defensemen, and I think we'll go on to the next episode and talk about some other interesting topics, so make sure to stay tuned for that.
Yeah, and you know what, as always, Spencer, is an absolute pleasure, my friend.
It's always been a pleasure, Eric. Thank you very much for joining the Seric Show, and we'll be back next week for another episode. Peace, guys.
Bye.